Hi, I'm Chitra, Faculty of Biology. Today's topics are incomplete dominance and codominance from the lesson Principles of Inheritance of 12th Biology. Okay, let's start our first topic, which is called as incomplete dominance. Okay, look at these beautiful flowers. How beautiful are they, isn't it? See, some are red in color, some are white in color, and some are pink in color, right? These flowers from a plant called snapdragon, which is commonly called as dog flower. Can you imagine that nature has made this pink color by a combination or by mixing this red and white color? Can you imagine? Just like we mix colors, isn't it? If you mix red and white, we get what? Pink color. Same way, nature has made this pink color by mixing the red and the white. So today we are going to learn about what is this phenomenon about. It's called incomplete dominance, right? Okay. So this incomplete dominance was first proposed by a scientist. His name is Correns. And Correns used a flower or a plant which is called Mirabilis gelapa. Don't get scared of the big name. It's a common plant. It's our 4 o'clock plant, which you all are familiar with. Okay? It has beautiful different colors of flowers, isn't it? Okay, so Correns found this phenomenon with the help of this. Let's find out what is this incomplete dominance. Right, according to Mendel's law of dominance, we know that each character is controlled by a pair of factors or alleles. Out of this, one allele is called as dominant factor and the other one is called as the recessive factor. Isn't it? Here what happens, the dominant factor suppresses the expression of the recessive factor, right? But in incomplete dominance, what happens, this dominant factor is not able to completely suppress the recessive factor. As a result, what will happen? An intermediary character develops, right? So this is called as incomplete dominance. So what is incomplete dominance is, the dominant factor is not able to completely suppress the recessive factor, and as a result in the F1 generation, a new combination or an intermediary character develops. This is called incomplete dominance. Now let's learn incomplete dominance with the same example which we took in the beginning. We have seen beautiful flowers, isn't it? That is from which plant? Snapdragon. Okay, so let's see how this incomplete dominance happen. Okay, we have selected red flowered plant as one of the parent, right? And the white flowered plant as another parent, right? Now they are cross-pollinated. You know what is meant by cross-pollination? What is cross-pollination? The pollen grain of one plant from one flower falls on the stigma of another flower of another plant. So cross-pollination is taking place. Okay. Now let's see, for red color, each character is controlled by a pair of factors that we already know. Okay. For red color, the two factors or the alleles are capital R and capital R. And for white color, the alleles are small r and small r, right? See the parents. Red, it has the factors capital R, and white has the factors small r. When they are cross-pollinated, what happens? See, you know that from one parent, only one gamete enters, isn't it? So this gamete has only one factor, capital R, and from this parent, small r, that factor comes. And when they are cross-pollinated, that generation, what do we call that generation? We call that generation as F1 generation. So let's see what is the nature of F1 plants, right? all the F1 plants were pink in color. You can see the color, isn't it? Pink in color. If it is law of dominance, if it is following, if it is the genetic combination is here what? From this parent it has got capital R, and from this parent it has got small r. So it should be if it is law of dominance, capital R small r stands for what? Red color. But here what we get is pink color. So what is this pink color? It's a mixture of red and white. What is the reason? Because the redness factor is not able to completely suppress which one? The white factor, right? So this is the nature of the offspring, right? All the plants produced in this method are pink colored. Now what we do? As usual, let's make the second generation, okay, F2 generation. How do we make second generation? By self-pollinating them, isn't it? Self-pollination. Let's see how it is done. So, in self-pollination, you know that both the parents are of the same type, isn't it? So, gametes also will be the same. So, let's see what are the gametes. See, from here, this gamete has capital R and this gamete has small r. This is one parent's gametes. The other parent has capital R and the other gamete has small r. Now, see the Punnett square, right? We'll do the cross multiplication of it and raise the second generation, which is called as the F2 generation. So, how do we make the Punnett square and find out cross multiplication, isn't it? So, capital R makes what? Red flowered plants. See, these plants are red in color, right? Now comes the next one, right? Capital R, red color flowers. Now capital R, small r, see, it is incomplete dominance. So what is the color of the plant or flower? It is pink in color. Now the third, capital R, small r, again pink flowered plant. Last case, small r, it is white in color. So from here, the second generation, what are the nature of the offsprings? The phenotypic ratio. What do you mean by phenotypic ratio? The visible characters, isn't it? One red flowered plant is to two pink flowered plant is to one white flowered plant. Or the genotypic ratio is what? 1 is to 2 is to 1. So this is the ratio that we get in the F2 generation in incomplete dominance, right? Okay. Now our second topic is codominance. What is the importance of June 14th? What is the importance of June 14th? It is World Blood Donors Day, right? You see such a noble deed of giving blood. So, donating blood is considered as the noblest deed. Why? Because we are saving the life of a person by donating the blood, isn't it? So, and you're not going to lose anything. Don't get scared, okay? Don't think that if we lose blood, we are going to have some problem. No, whatever blood is being gone from the body will be replaced within few days, right? Okay. No, for blood donation, what should we know? We should know our blood groups, isn't it? So, blood groups are like our identity, isn't it? Identity card, it is mentioned, your blood group. Why? Because if we meet with an accident, and we are in need of blood, if our blood group is known, immediately blood can be taken, accepted, isn't it? So blood group, I'm sure you all know your blood groups, okay? And we have different types of blood groups, isn't it? Some of you have A blood group, some of you have B blood group, some of you have AB blood group, and some of you have O blood group. You know what is our blood grouping called as? It's called as ABO blood grouping, right? Our blood grouping is called as ABO blood grouping, and this blood grouping was proposed by a scientist. His name is Landsteiner. Okay, his name is Landsteiner. So today we are going to learn about why we are going to learn about this ABO blood grouping. You know why? Because this ABO blood grouping is an example for another phenomenon which is called as codominance. Codominance. So the word itself indicates here what happens. Nobody is dominating. Law of dominance, one factor is dominating, the other one is suppressed, isn't it? Here both the factors are dominant features, dominant characters. So what is this phenomenon? With the help of ABO blood grouping is a good example for this, and with the help of ABO blood grouping we learn about our this phenomenon which is called as codominance, right? Okay, so we have in our RBC we have two types of antigens, right? Two types of antigens we have. What is an antigen? It's a protein, that's it. Okay, so two types of antigens we have. One is called antigen A and the other one is called antigen B, right? Antigen A and antigen B. And the gene that produces this antigen, you know that all the antigens or whatever character is controlled by genes, isn't it? So the genes that produce these antigen is called as I gene. That gene's name is I gene. And what is the peculiarity of this gene? You know, this gene has 3 alleles instead of 2. Till now we have learned that an allele, a gene has 2 alleles. Here it has 3 alleles. So it's an example for another phenomenon which is called as multiple allelism. So what is multiple allelism? Let me tell you. A gene which has more than 2 alleles. That phenomenon is called as multiple allelism. So our blood grouping, ABO blood grouping is an example for what also? Multiple allelism also. So let's take the 3 genes. Okay, what are the alleles for it? IA, the first allele, IB is the second allele, and small I is the third allele, right? So since we are diploid organism, we are diploid, isn't it? You know that we cannot have 3 alleles together. So we get a combination of these 3 alleles, right? Suppose a person gets A allele from father, IA from father and IA from mother, that person's blood group is going to be A blood group, right? Now what is the peculiarity of this alleles? You know, this IA and IB are dominant alleles, both are dominant, right? And small I is the only recessive one. So what happens? Suppose a person has got from one of the parents, say let it be from father IA and from mother B. This person will have what? Both the antigens, because IA is also a dominant allele and IB is also a dominant allele. So A and B antigens will be produced. So that person's blood group is going to be AB. So based on the presence of our antigen, which antigen we have the different types of blood groups. So what are the different types of blood groups? A, that person has A antigen. B, that person has B antigen. And if a person has AB blood group, he has both the antigens, A as well as B. Now what about O blood group? Many of you have O blood group, isn't it? This is because, see, I told you this I gene is a recessive one. So if a person is getting I allele from father and I allele from mother, what will happen? Both are recessive, isn't it? And that person will not be producing any antigens, O blood group. That is why O blood group people are considered as universal donors. What do you mean by universal donor? See, we can donate the blood. In the beginning we told, no, it's a noble deed. But while donating, we have to check the blood groups of each people, isn't it? Why? Because if there is a mismatching in the blood group, what will happen? Mismatching. blood coagulation, and it can even cause the death of that person, right? Okay, for example, a person has A blood group and he is given B blood group. Okay, what will happen, in his body antibodies will be produced and that may cause the death of that person, isn't it? So blood group analysis is very, very important. Blood group analysis is very important. That is why we should know our blood groups, right? So blood grouping is very important in this way, right? Now our topic is what? Codominance. So what is meant by codominance is, in some types of cases, in like ABO blood grouping, what happens is there are two alleles and both the alleles are acting as dominant ones. Both the alleles are acting as what? Dominant one. So there is no issue of what? Suppressed one. So if a person has A antigen and if a person gets from father A antigen and from mother B, that person will be producing both the antigens, that is A and B. So his blood group is AB. So based on the presence and absence of antigens, the blood grouping is done. ABO blood grouping. Now let's see how it works, right? Okay, so this table tells us how our blood grouping is made. Okay, now we'll take in the first case the allele from parent A. Let us take this as father, and allele from parent B, let it be from mother. Okay, so in the first case, just see, this offspring has got IA gene from father and IA gene from mother. So what will be the genotype of that offspring? You know that the offspring, one allele it gets from father and the other one from the mother. So the genotype of the offspring is IA. So both A antigens are produced, and what is the blood group of that person? A blood group. His blood group is A blood group. Now let's see the second case. Second case is, this offspring is getting from father IA allele and from mother IB, right? If the mother's blood group is B, the offspring will get B allele. Okay, and what is the genotype of that offspring? Just see, IAIB, right? And this offspring will be producing both the antigens. So what is this blood group? AB blood group. Okay, now the third case, see, the offspring is getting IA from father and from mother, small I, recessive one. Okay, recessive I, small I. So what is the genotype of that offspring? Just see, IA small I. Here what happens? The child will be producing only A antigen. The child will be producing only A antigen. And what is his blood group? The child's blood group is A blood group, right? Okay, now the fourth case, just take. From father, this offspring is getting IB allele and from mother IA. What will be the genotype of the offspring? It has IA, IB, and the blood group is going to be AB blood group. That means the child will be having both the antigens A as well as B. Now the next case, from father B, IB, and from mother also IB. Maybe both are B blood group people. So the child's genotype is IB, and what is the blood group of that offspring? He or she is going to be having B blood group. Next case, IB from father and small I from mother. Genotype, what is the genotype of the next this offspring? IB small I. So what is the case here? See, IB will produce antigen B What about small I? Will it be producing any antigens? No, because it is a recessive factor. It cannot produce. So this child will have only antigen B, and that's why his blood group is B, right? Okay, now the last case, let's take, see, from father's blood group is O. So from father, small ig, it's a recessive one, remember. And from mother also, small I, that is also a recessive one. So what is the genotype of the offspring? The offspring will be having small I. Will that offspring be producing any antigens? No, no antigen will be produced, and hence his blood group is O blood group, right? And we say that this O blood group people are called universal donors. They can donate blood to any blood group. You know why? Because they don't have the problem of any antigens. They don't have any antigens, A or B. So if they donate blood to any of these groups, there is no problem of antibody formation, isn't it? Same way, this AB blood group, just see, they are called universal recipients. Means they can receive blood groups from all these category because they already have antigen A and B. So in their body, there won't be any what? Antibody formation, right? That's it. So ABO blood grouping is a good example of what? It's an example for codominance. That's it. Thank you.